Welcome to your community. This is your hometown. This is Walton Entertainment. This is where you can hear from the community and those making a difference. We explore topics, local festivals, arts and entertainment, and local news. For this program and much more, visit us online at yourlocalstream.com. That's yourlocalstream.com.
Let us pray. Holy Father, loving God, you are our creator and sustainer. We seek your love, your wisdom, your strength, and your courage for all our men and women who have served, are serving now, and those who shall serve in the future. Clothe them with your armor, grant them your health and stability. Allow them to return to their loved ones whole and unshaken. Grant peace and peace of mind for those who carry the visible scars of war. Guide their doctors' hands and minds as they may heal their bodies. Lord, bring peace to the minds of those who suffer the invisible scars of war. Help them to make peace with their hearts and souls and return to their families whole and grateful for life. We thank you for having so many of our nation's finest who have had the courage to stand up, step forward, and answer the nation's call. Here I am, send me. We pray that our nation's leaders and its people will once again unite under the principles that we again become the beacon of light for all the world to see. We thank you that we're able to once again come to this place to celebrate all who have served our nation and give thanks for their courage, honor, service, and sacrifice. There's their blood and sweat and blood left on foreign soils all over this world that maintains our freedom. And for those who made the ultimate sacrifice, we pray for their families and make this oath before you this day, that they shall never be forgotten and will live in the hearts and the minds of all Americans until the end of time. And these things we pray, amen.
Thank you, Pat. And again, I want to thank everyone here for joining us and across our great nation for Veterans Day to offer our heartfelt thanks to the brave men and women who served in our country's military. As a veteran myself, today is always a special day because I think back to my time in the Navy. There's a special bond that is created amongst us that we serve with. But there's also a special respect each veteran has for each other. It is similar to the respect that each of you has chosen to display today by joining us in honoring those who gave so much for the freedoms we enjoy today. Because as Elmer Davis once said, the nation will remain their land of the free, so only as it is the home of the brave. Each generation of this great nation has been burdened with its own hardships. Each generation has risen to many challenges it has faced. The same holds true to our veterans. Whether you have served in time in conflict or time in peace, I stand here today to tell you thank you. On behalf of a grateful nation, state, and our great country, thank you for your service. And I hope you realize that you are worthy, Mr. Regent, of honor, choosing to defend this nation and the ideals that unfortunately we as a nation are seemingly losing sight of as time passes. But know that the sacrifice you made and the sacrifice made by your family are what has made a difference in the history of this great, great nation. You have written your chapter in the story of a grateful nation, just as those did before you, and those that continue to do today. While it may not seem like much just to simply say thank you. That is what we're gathered here today to accomplish. It seems like I say it every year, but those words are so important that they should be heard each and every year. While we're gathered here today to show our gratitude to our nation's veterans, it is important that we realize each and every day that we need to appreciate what men and women of our military has done. Harold Tribble. And will continue to do for this great nation. And while we should keep them in our prayers every day, we should offer up our thanks to the family they often leave behind. Now I would like to introduce you to Miss Laura Pate. She grew up in Gwinnett County, graduated from South Gwinnett High School, and received her bachelor's and master's degree in psychology from Georgia College and State University. Now a resident of Forsyth County, Mrs. Pate works as the Deputy Director of Administration and Recreation for the Forsyth County Parks and Recreation Department. She is married to her beautiful husband, Matthew, and the couple have a 15-year-old daughter named Cora. What makes Miss Pate perfect for our time of reflection is the fact that she is the daughter of my good friend, and he's a beautiful man, Stan Malden, and Debbie Malden, which she's right there smiling. Contagious smile, Miss Debbie. She is proud of the work her father does to our veterans, and just as proud of what the American Legion does for all of the veterans and their family. At this time, I ask that you join me in welcoming Laura Pate for a time of reflection.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to present today's reflection in admiration of the veterans who have served our country. Today is the day we honor the noble and the brave, the men and women who dedicated their lives and the sacrifices they have made. When America had an urgent need, they were there to protect our land. They were proud to take a stand. Leaving their families back at home and going to places unknown. Some came back with battle scars, others draped by stripes and stars. They unselfishly and knowingly put their lives on the line. So when you see a veteran, thank them, for without them, freedom would have died. Before I step down, I would like to thank a few special people in my life who've served this great country. My grandfather, who served in World War II, we called him Graggy, and now we call Stan Graggy. I'm also very thankful. I have two fathers, my father Wayne Baucom and Stan Malden, who's been a very important part of my life. We both served in Vietnam. I want to thank these fine men who have impacted my life greatly. And thank you to all the veterans for your service. God bless our flag, our military, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pate. Now it is time. I have the distinct honor of welcoming up to the podium Mr. Roger Wise Jr. He is a 2019, he is a veteran of the U.S. Army, where he served as a medical specialist. In 2019, he was inducted into the Georgia Military Veterans Hall of Fame. To earn his distinction, a nominee qualifies in one of three ways. And for Roger, it was for significant local, state, and national contributions after leaving active duty. Since his honorable discharge in January of 1967, the Goldsboro, North Carolina native, who graduated from East Carolina University, has dedicated himself to volunteering and supporting a number of civilian, military, and charitable efforts. Good job. Well done. Roger's efforts have not only been with charitable organizations or the 30 years he spent as the Southeastern Regional Manager of Academic and Government Services with the Ross Division of Abbott Lab, but also in the public sector. He received public accolades from federal and state leaders for his work with the Veterans Hospital in Georgia, and was the recipient of the Outstanding Georgia Citizens Award, which led to the Georgia Senate to declare March 13, 2014, this deserves a round of applause, March 13, 2014 as Roger Weiss Jr. Day. Roger is also National Ambassador for the Shriners Hospital, the Shriners and the Masons of Georgia. Truthfully, I think just these few highlights do not do justice to the service Roger has done to not only his community in Alpharetta, whereas he is an ambassador of the American Legion Post 201, but to the state as a whole. And by his side, his 50 years has been with his wife, Clara Jo, and the couple have 3 children and 5 grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Georgia's Mr. Facilitator and the go-to guy, Mr. Roger Weiss Jr. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, I'm just a country boy from North Carolina. God has been so, so good to me. I do a lot of public speaking, and I advise the group when I stand up that I'm a person of strong faith. I also advise them to sit back and enjoy the view. You're just along for the ride. God is driving the car. So we must never forget that. He knows where we're going, when we're going to get there, if we're going to get there, and when we're going to get back. So just sit back and enjoy the view, because he's driving the car. My corporate career gave me such an opportunity. I have been very active at the state, local, national level. The 4 agendas that I've had is health care for children, education, and veterans. That's basically what I have done. The 4th agenda is family and friends. When I speak to young folks, I work very closely. Let's give a round of applause for our JROTC cadets here today. Young men, I was talking with some of you earlier. It's not easy being a JROTC cadet in high school. You have a lot of activity and a lot of duties. But what you're doing is you're building your resume. You're getting checks by your name. And that will serve you well in corporate America, the military, and if you so desire that you might want to go to an academy, being the JROTC cadet that you are in high school today might very well get you in an academy. I would suggest you think about that. Our academies are looking for qualified young people, and each one of you that I have met is more than qualified. But getting back, speaking with the group, I do this. I say, what is this? What is this? 2 very important things. The young guys said finance, money, corporate status, whatever. I said no. The 2 most important things is family and friends. If you have a strong family and you've got friends, you're going to be successful in life. Now, they mentioned Clara Jo, that's my wife, 50 years. God bless her heart, she's been putting up with me for 50 years. She's entitled to a medal all her own. But when I take the young JROTC cadets or the emerging young leaders or the student leadership groups down to the Capitol and give them a tour. I don't let them use the elevators. I make them use the stairs and follow me, and I run their little butts off. We're up and down and all around. We go over to the Sloppy Floyd building for lunch. I always ask, Mr. Wise, how old are you? I said, I'm 80. Oh my God, he's 80 and he's hard to keep up with. I thought, well, I've done a good job today. Somebody says, are you married? I said, yeah, I've been married 50 years. Oh my God, he's been married 50 years. He's been married 50 years. What is your secret? I said, there's 4 things to be married 50 years. You drive the car, you smile, you pay the bills, and you say, yes, dear. And the most important thing I said is, yes, dear. Every young girl in the group comes up, says, Mr. Wise, if I ever get married, I want you to talk to my husband. Now, we're here today to honor veterans. Stan, I've got to tell you, this event is even greater than you said it was. Mr. Mayor, they are so fortunate to have you as their mayor. He was Air Force. I've noticed here's a Marine right here on the front stump. I had the pleasure, I have a special pledge of allegiance I do called Freedom is Not Free. We have color guards at the Johns Creek Veterans Association, and I have the pleasure of being a color guard. We come in a group, everybody's standing. I take the mic and I say, now ready, seats. Everybody looks around, I said, once a sergeant, always a sergeant. That means sit down. So they all sit down and they're looking at each other and what's going on here? I said, freedom is not free, someone has to pay for it. Service is not free, someone has to pay for it. I want all the veterans in the room and first responders, on your feet, well, they all stand up. I say, we salute you and thank you for service to our country, and we thank you for your service to our community. Folks, when you see a veteran, walk up to them and say, thank you for your service to our country. When you see a first responder, walk up to them and say, thank you for your service to our community. Remembering freedom and service is not free. Now everybody else on your feet and join these great patriots and let's pledge allegiance to the flag of the greatest country in the world. Well, last year I get a call from a Marine friend who was very active in the Marine birthday dinner. And he said, Roger, I want you to come over and do that freedom is not free pledge. I said, okay. So I get up in front of the group and I'm introduced. And I said, I've got to clarify the record. I said, I was in the Army. I wasn't tough enough to be a Marine, and the place went up in stitches. I mean, just crazy. Well, I'm going to share with you, first of all, our Johns Creek Veterans Association. Have any of you had the opportunity to go over to Johns Creek, Newtown Park, and see our Veterans Memorial Walk? Well, I'm inviting you Saturday morning. We are dedicating the Memorial Walk. What happened? 6 years or so ago, I was commissioner and whatever, and we had a 4-acre dog park in the Johns Creek area in Newtown Park. They won an award, and they got $1 million. So they left the 4 acres and went over and built a state-of-the-art dog park. Makes you want to be a dog when you go over there. It is the damnedest thing you ever seen in your life. So I went to the mayor, city council, said, what are you going to do with that 4 acres? They said, we don't know. I said, well, how about giving it to the Johns Creek Veterans Association? They want to build a memorial walk. They said, okay, we'll do it. So they did it. We have worked very closely with the community, state, local, and I'm pleased to say that our 4-acre memorial walk is now a reality. It is something special. 4 years ago, then Senator Johnny Isakson talked to him about the traveling wall. Have any of you seen the traveling Vietnam Wall? Well, that was 3/4 of the wall in Washington. We got it to come to Johns Creek, Newtown Park. When we got ready to open the wall, I advised the group that I had many veteran friends that go to Washington. But they come up and say, Roger, I just don't have the guts to go to the wall. Because the wall is called the wall that heals. It starts the healing process. So many, they just don't want to start that process in public. So we advised the group that we were going to have that wall open 24 hours a day for the week it was there. And I said, advise your veteran friends to come to the wall. Start the healing process. I'm out there at 3 a.m. on Friday morning. This lady looks over her shoulder. Said, Mr. Wise, is that you? I said, yes. Would you wait a minute? I want to introduce you to my son. I waited probably 10, maybe 15 minutes. This big guy gets up, comes over. I can tell this now, but for the longest time when I was telling it, I started crying. This guy said, I want to thank you, sir. I met my father today. His mother was 3 months pregnant with him when his dad went to Vietnam. His father was killed in combat. That's where you ladies mean so much to the veterans. You mean so much to the soldiers. You're part of the support mechanism that makes them what they are. We in Alpharetta have something called the Old Soldiers' Day Parade. This parade started back right after the Civil War. They still have the campground, and I remember going with my grandmother and granddaddy, my mother and daddy in North Carolina. We'd go to the campground on a Saturday. It was a religious event, Saturday night, and Sunday. This campground has been implemented since the first Saturday in August, since whenever. So some of the ladies said, we got to honor our veterans. So they hooked the horses to the fire wagon and started ringing the bell. They walked down Center Street, around City Hall, and ended up at the campground. That started the Old Soldiers' Day Parade. Well, I work very closely with our American Legion post and the city, and I've had the pleasure of getting our Grand Marshals. Well, Mike Steele is a personal friend. Mike is a retired Army Special Ops Colonel. I knew Mike through the University of Georgia. He was a big football player. Mike retired, came back home. He was Captain Mike Steele in Black Hawk Down. He was heavily involved in the Middle East. Sometimes Mike will leave town. This is a few years ago. Mike will leave town and say, don't ask me where I'm going. And when he gets back, say, don't ask me where I've been. He is so specialized in the Middle East. So we had Mike established as our Grand Marshal. 3 weeks before the parade, Mike called and said, Roger, I'm leaving town. Well, I didn't panic, but I got a little excited because I said, who is going to be our Grand Marshal? Well, I put the word out through the Chamber of Commerce and Rotary and other organizations. This guy called me and said, Mr. Wise, I understand you're looking for a Grand Marshal for the parade. I said, yep. He says, my father is a World War II veteran. You might want to go over and talk to him. He said, but I got to warn you, he's a little ornery at times. I said, I'll go over and talk. So I go over with this young man. Here's Sergeant Brown sitting there and his wife. I'm going to use a little profanity here, please, because you've got to get that to see Sergeant Brown sitting there with his arms crossed. Boy, what do you want? His son said, this is Mr. Wise. He's here to talk about the parade. He said, I don't want to be in your goddamn parade. I said, well, Sergeant, really, his wife tuned in and says, you ought to look at this. This is really a special event. His son said, Dad, you really ought to look at this. This is a special event. He kind of looked and he said, well, if I am in the parade, I ain't riding by myself. I said, what if we get you a GMC pickup from Carl Black and have your whole family ride in the parade? He said, I'll do it. So I got to know him, and he liked to go to Chick-fil-A for breakfast. So I'd go over and pick him up and take him to Chick-fil-A for breakfast. And we got to talking. Veterans, with their families or in public, they don't do a lot of talking about what they did. But you get a group together at the bar with a couple of beers with fellow veterans, and honey, you ain't heard so damn many stories in all your life. So he got opened up, started talking to me. He said, you know, I'm from West Virginia. My family didn't have no money. I joined the Army when I was 15 years old. I said, what? I joined the Army when I was 15 years old because the family needed the money. He said, and I went to basic training, got through with basic training and AIT, and was accepted at jump school because I wanted to be one of them new things, Rangers. I said, well, that's commendable. He said, so they started giving, my buddies would give me a birthday party. And the sergeant found out I was just turned 16. He said, you too young to be in the Army. But he said, I'd already done real well at basic and AIT and was accepted at jump school, so my family signed a waiver so I could stay on active duty. He completed jump school, completed Ranger training, and he was on the first wave to hit Normandy. He's buckled down on the beach with a couple of his buddies. Beach officer comes up and says, who are you guys? 30th Ranger Battalion, sir. Said, we got to get off this beach. Rangers lead the way. He and one buddy got off, the other one was killed. He went inland and got assigned to Patton's group. He started telling me some of the experiences he had. And I said, you know, you need to have your family needs to have this. They wouldn't understand. I said, well, you know, you're a hero. You're 17 years old, and you're on the first wave to hit Normandy. You need to do something with this. So I got the public information officer at Alpharetta Police Department to go out. And we sat down for almost a day, and the sergeant opened up, started talking about his military experience. His wife, we were pretty much in the midday. She said, you know, we were invited back to France by friends. He said, hell, I forgot all about that. They invited him back and his family to give him the fleur-de-lis because he had worked so closely with the French troops. While they were there, he said, I want you to take me back. He had an escort. Said, I want you to take me back to Normandy. I want to roll up my pants legs and get in that water. He said, because when I got ready to get off that boat that day, I was a pure young man. But by the time I got off that beach, I had killed people. I want to see if I can get that feeling again. The guy said, yes, sir, we'll take you back. So they went back to Normandy. He rolled up his pants legs. He's wading in the water. His wife started picking up pebbles. And she found a red pebble. She didn't know the significance of that. They're going back to Paris. She's got her hand open. And their guide grabbed her hand and says, oh, ma'am, you've got something special. She said, well, it's just a bunch of pebbles. Said, no, ma'am, you've got a red pebble. And there's a red tide comes in the beach every year. And we see that as a reminder of the blood that was shed on the beach that day. Treasure that pebble. That red pebble is very special. She had not really told that story. Even the sergeant had not heard it. He said, oh my God, that's something special. Said, I didn't realize you were picking up pebbles while I was wading in the water. So the end of the CD that we presented to the family has her telling the story of the red pebble. And the last thing you see is her hand closing on the red pebble. Now Stan and I were talking, and you know, you folks have a lot to be thankful for. This gentleman right here not only served our country, but he is still serving our country and our community. Let's have a round of applause for Stan and thank him. He shared with me a story. Said he was talking with a colonel who was World War II, who was at Normandy, second wave. He said, oh my God, this is something special. I mean, you just come right in. He said, no, I stayed on the beach for 2 days. He and his group were taking the wounded and the dead and making sure they had their dog tags so they could be properly identified. He told Stan, he said it took 2 days for the blood to get out of the water on the beach at Normandy. So I share the story with Sergeant Brown, and now I'm going to close it with that story. 2 days. That's how much blood was in the water on the beach at Normandy. So when you see a veteran, thank them for their service to our country. When you see a first responder, thank them for their service to our community. When you see a JROTC cadet, tell them they're doing something good and it will be beneficial for them for the rest of their lives. Again, I thank you so much for inviting me to be here today. This is something special for the city and the American Legion to come together and honor our veterans. God bless each of you. God bless your families. God bless the USA. And just sit back and enjoy the view because God is driving the car.
Mr. Weiss, on behalf of Loganville, you are special. You are a very special man. Mr. Weiss gave me a little gift up there. I'm going to cherish this gift, and I'm going to keep it forever. Thank you so much for being here. What a great story. Can you join me in another round of applause for Mr. Weiss? At this time, we prepare to bring forward the ceremonial wreath. Today is a day we honor all those who served their great country. And there are quite a few here today. Color guard. On behalf of our grateful nation, state, city, and community, we all thank you for your service. Before the special members of the Sons of the American Legion Post 233 bring forward the wreath, at this time I would like to welcome, he needs no introduction, right, Debbie? That beautiful man that I've shared that I've gotten to know for the last couple of years, and that Mr. Weiss rightly spoke about. My good friend Stan Walton to the podium. I have known him for a number of years. I have to take a moment to make sure to thank him for all that he has done for our city and this great American Legion Post 233. I doubt there are many here who do not know Stan, but he is a Georgia native who has been married, again, to his beautiful wife, Debbie, for more than 3 decades, and is a proud father of 2 daughters and has 1 granddaughter. He served our great nation in the U.S. Army from 1968 to 1969, including 14 months in Vietnam as a combat infantryman. He has quite a number of personal and unit military awards, but he is most proud of his combat infantryman's badge, Bronze Star with a V device, and his Purple Heart combat wounded ribbon. I'll tell you what, right there deserves, this man right there, what I just said right there, deserves a standing ovation. And I would join me in standing for Mr. Stan Walton just because of that. Thank you. Thanks again. Thank you. He was inducted into the National Purple Heart Hall of Honor after returning from Vietnam. Mr. Walton is co-founder of the Ride for America, the great event organized here in Loganville each Memorial Day. He has continued to serve this great nation by becoming a member of the American Legion Post here in Loganville, where he has devoted 17 years toward with past recognition of the Legionnaire of the Year as well as the Legion Rider of the Year. He has served 3 times as director of the American Legion Riders, as well as past commander of Post 233. He also volunteers several hours of each month at the Vet Center in Lawrenceville. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Stan Walton. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, a lot of times people say some very nice things, and I wonder if I'm going to be able to live up to those nice things that they say to me. Or about me. You know, am I going to be able to live up to those things? God has blessed me tremendously. You know, when I come home after 14 months of combat in Vietnam, a lot of people said, you know what, you must have been good. I said, no. God blessed me, and I was lucky. I wasn't good. I was lucky. And with God blessings, I made it home. Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it. Thank you. Also, thank all of you for being here today. Without you guys, if we had 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people here, you know, we we would have a lot of food to eat. I guess you could say that. Anyway, thank you for coming. I was going to recognize some people from the Vet Center in Lawrenceville. Is anybody here from Vet Center? They kind of told me they would be here, but they must be treating people like myself with PTSD. Maybe that's what they're doing. But anyway, again, thank you guys for being here. Last year, due to the pandemic, we awarded, or we placed the wreath in memory of all the people that lost their lives to the pandemic during the time, a couple of years, and it was a sad thing to do. But prior to that, in 2019 and prior to that, we recognized a person from this post that was instrumental in making things work at this post. And this year, we're going to go back to that, and it's only right, since we hold a ceremony at this post, to recognize our members too. The city puts on this event, but it's at our Legion, so sometimes we get to brag on our people since it is our Legion. So this year, that special person is Mr. Johnny Wyndham. Johnny, before I get started, a description about Johnny, if I will, I'd like to have Sydney, Logan, Charlie. Is Charlie, somebody got Charlie, will they bring him up too? Okay, good. Charlie's a great grandson. They're gonna come up and they're gonna stand right here, and they're gonna hold up a picture of Johnny. How do you start out about trying to describe such a good man as Johnny? First of all, I want to say Johnny was a Marine, or is a Marine. You know, once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine, I've been told. So I've been corrected quite a few times on that. I was in the Army, so I don't know about Marines. My father-in-law retired after 30 years of a Marine, and he used to remind me of that on occasion. He was kind of tough on me at times, but anyway, Johnny is a Marine, and I used to poke fun at Johnny. But Johnny would take and look back at me. I'd kid him about being a Marine, and he would look back at me, and he always smiled. He would always smile at you, you know, and you never knew what was behind that smile. But when he smiled at me, I knew he didn't give a flip about me kidding him about being a Marine. You know, he just didn't haggle me with my being in the Army, you know. But he had that contagious smile that always meant a lot to me. And I knew that a lot of people poke fun back and forth at each other about, you know, the branches of service. But Johnny, being a Marine, was just, you know, he was always fun to be around. I saw these two lines on the Marine website, and I felt it very appropriate to read this today. It's only 2 lines, but it has a ton of meaning. And it is, to observe a Marine is inspirational, but to be a Marine is exceptional. Exceptional. So, Johnny, I know that you're looking down on us right now, and I know that you can hear me. You're a fine man. A fine man. Johnny had this contagious smile, like I said, but he also had a lot of love in his heart. And that love was so inspirational and so big for Crystal and for the rest of these people up here, that he just, it was amazing, all the things that he did for them. He took and did a lot for this post. Johnny was, he helped run our bingo. And believe it or not, bingo keeps this place open. It really does. You know, a lot of legions are kept open from the bar, but that's not the way this place is. Bingo keeps this place open, along with Tom. You're not going to remember Tom. He keeps, thank you, sir, and his officers. But he helped run our bingo program. He also was an officer of the post for quite a number of years. And the good thing about that is that you knew by him being here, you could always count on him and Crystal. You could, if during Ride for America, when there would be 1,000 motorcycles out in this parking lot and 1,500 to 2,000 people, you know, we need a lot of leadership at that time. You could always count on Crystal and Johnny to be here to help us. And that was big. That was big. Him being a part of that program and him being a part of the things that helped keep this place going. He was a great man. We miss him. We miss him. If you want to know what kind of man Johnny was, look at the second two tables here and look at these people right here. He was a great man, great man. He saved a lot of love for these people and not only just for Crystal, but these people too. If you don't believe that you don't reap what you sow, then take a look at this. Take a look at this. The great grandbaby there. You know, I'm always proud to be a part of this this wreath ceremony each year. I'm proud that the mayor allows me to do this, number one, because it's an honor. It's an honor for me to stand up here and talk to you about that. This time I want to bring up another part of our wreath team, Mr. Mike Burwell. Mike will come up and drape the charter, and we want to drape their charter because, come on Mike, we want to drape our charter to remember the rest of our members that we've lost this past year. Mike's also, once he gets through that, he's also going to light our ceremonial candles, the red, white, and blue ceremonial candles. Did I mention Mike's our senior vice commander too? I didn't say that, did I? Okay. Mike, thank you for doing that. Mike's very inspirational in his post too. Thank you, Commander Burwell. I now invite a couple of members to come forward and place this year's wreath in its place of honor. Mr. Pettis and Mr. Belias, both of our sons of the American Legion. By the way, Mr. Belias is our mayor-elect too, so we gotta take and make sure we take care of him too. If you will, slide this way just a little bit because you're gonna put the wreath right there in the middle. There you go, that's good right there. Thank you, thank you. Okay, gentlemen, please bring the wreath forward. I ask if you will to please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. Please remain standing for a gun salute. I'm giving you fair warning this year. I normally don't warn you that there's going to be a gun salute. It's outside, but there's a gun salute, and our taps will be played. Thank you, sir. Go ahead. Right hand salute. Ready, two. You may be seated. Kind of tough when you hear taps. It always kind of gives me every time I hear taps, and it has that special meaning. And I hope it. At the end of the day, that you remember taps being played here today. Ladies and gentlemen, when terror and invasion hit our country and there were real threats to our country, our veterans showed us that they could handle any storm. We owe our freedoms, our peaceful lives to our veterans. So every day, but especially today, remember those who served in uniform and think about. God bless the USA. Mike, you may undrape the charter. Thank you, Commander Burwell. And thank you for being here today.
Before I go, as Stan was talking, I was looking at Crystal and the family, Wyndham. And I can't help but think of one word when I look at Crystal Wyndham, of course, the family there, as their tears are shedding. And I know you're running out of Kleenex, so we're going to have to get some more, but rightly so. It's nothing but love. Love. I can't imagine what you're going through right now. You know, we all have our memories about the great Johnny. I have mine, and Miss Crystal knows exactly what I would mean when I would say this. About 14 years ago, you guys know I love to cook, by the way. I had a little restaurant right down the street, and Miss Crystal knows what I'm just about getting ready to say. Black beans and rice. She knows exactly what that means. But that's my memory of Johnny, and he did so much for this post, and God bless you. And you base the man by what he leaves behind, and look at that legacy he leaves behind. So y'all done good. God bless you and the family. Thank you, Stan. Now it's my pleasure to welcome the commander, the great commander of the American Legion Post 233 here in Loganville to address you today. I'm not sure many of you know, but it is 75 years ago today that the 42 charter members of this post met in a gym at Loganville High School with the challenge of becoming the biggest little post in Georgia. And boy, did they accomplish that. Loganville at the time had a population of about 750, close to the current amount of dues paying members of the American Legion Post 233. Today, the American Legion is such an important part of this city's great history, and they continue to serve as a beacon of light for those who are in need of help. Help of the Legion works to help 60 different charities across our community. 60. Commander Don Williams, like many of our honored guests here today, proudly served his great country. He is a 10-year veteran of the U.S. Air Force, where he maintained avionics systems on heavy airlift assets, including the C-5 Galaxy, C-141, and C-130s. He has been a member of the American Legion in Loganville for more than 6 years. Only that much? It seems like he's got more, because he's got a lot of experience. He's also the founding partner of Adet Tech Consultants, LLC, a local software company. Please help me welcome Commander Williams.
They always put me between you and lunch. Good morning. Sorry, good afternoon. We just crossed over. I want to welcome everybody and thank you for coming out to American Legion Post 233, the Barrett Davis Watson post of the American Legion. I'm grateful for a lot of things this day, but I'm most grateful for this opportunity, this high privilege and distinct honor to spend a few minutes addressing the community that we serve. On high privilege, as it pertains to my position here at the American Legion. A wise friend once told me that this volunteer office is not privileged because it doesn't come with a parking space and we don't even have an executive washroom. But the position itself is a privilege. And he's not wrong. I can tell you that some days it feels like more of a privilege than others. Today is one of those days. To lead a veterans organization on Veterans Day is a bit like an easy underhand pitch in the middle of the strike zone. Today's remembrance goes to the heart of what we do, and it feels a little like an award to be standing here wearing a hat that says Commander on a day when our business is everyone's business. But what about yesterday? Yesterday did not feel like such an award, but it was really rewarding. Yesterday, I got to stand here in this hall and chat with about a half dozen of the homeless veterans we've been helping. I got to talk to them about their lives, their plans, and their progress towards getting out of homelessness. Then I got to watch my junior vice, Susie Fitzmaurice. Where are you, Susie? She's over there. Sit in the office and talk in depth with these homeless veterans, pulling out really personal information for the sole purpose of helping them get out of their homelessness and sometimes the feeling of helplessness that they have, to know that anyone cares enough to listen to them in their hour of need. I also got to write a thank you letter to a generous donor who gave us gift cards through our Gift Cards for Veterans program. These cards allow us to provide some food support for homeless veterans when our kitchen is not open. And there is a donation bucket back there on the thing, I'm just saying, that's all I'm saying. I got to talk to the families and friends of several of our recently departed members, providing some measure of comfort while trying to help them make respectful arrangements for their favorite veteran. I got to share a laugh. Actually, I got to share a lot of laughs with our bingo customers, our employees, and even some of our community service workers, one of whom will finish her hours soon, the ones the court assigned her, and asked last night if she could come back and volunteer because she feels so at home here. These things, along with this nice hat, in my mind are the very definition of high privilege. A note on a distinct honor. When Crystal Wilson stood up and sang the anthem a little while ago, I rendered a formal salute. That wasn't always the case for veterans. I hearken back to when my youngest was in middle school, and instead of being here, I was in a sweaty gym, sitting in the bleachers, listening to earnest, if slightly new musicians, play their best renditions of the patriotic songs to which so many of us first learned to march. My daughter played the viola, and when the other kids in her section would go, "Which one is your dad?" she would say, "The fat guy who's crying." I remember very clearly when I heard that Senator Daniel Inouye from Hawaii and others worked to pass legislation modifying our flag code to allow veterans to render a proper hand salute in public places when the national anthem was played. The first time I heard those first notes and I snapped a salute, it felt like I was suddenly back in basic training the first time I put on that blue uniform. Proud and patriotic. It's a feeling I get again and again in this place. That service to community, state, and nation is more than a period of enlistment. It's a lifetime endeavor. And that, my friends, is the most distinctive honors of all. I want to thank you for visiting our post today. Thank you for honoring our veterans on Veterans Day. And we hope you'll come back and spend more time with us on every other day in this place where we honor veterans every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander Williams. At this time, I would like to call back to the podium Chaplain Pat Buchanan to lead us in the closing prayer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do this a little bit different. I come from the mountains, and when I have my best conversations with God, it's generally when I'm on my bike and I'm driving through the hills. I don't have my eyes closed at that time when I'm talking to God. I don't think we have to have our eyes closed. So let's keep them open, look at each other, and understand that we are here for one reason. We are family, friends, veterans, friends of veterans, but most importantly, patriots. It's through our love of God, love of nation, and love of our way of life that over 44 million have served this country. 1.4 million have made the ultimate sacrifice, and we are honored to have a parent who lost a child here with us this day. So Lord, we thank you for all who have served. We thank you for this nation. The issue with us, Lord, is are we going to be worthy of the sacrifice and the blood that's been shed for us? Will this lady look upon us and smile and say, you gave me love when I needed it. You gave me strength when I needed it. I think we will, and I think she will. It's people like you, people like Stan, people like Roger Wise, this gentleman here in this room, that what makes America great, Lord. And we thank you for their service, their sacrifice, their blood, and their sweat. Of course, in your name we pray. Amen.
Now I would like to ask for y'all to please stand as I call upon Mr. Jeffrey McCaffey, who served as captain of the American Legion Logan Post 233 Color Guard, to please come forward to retire our nation's colors.
Forward, arm. Forward, arm. Color guard. Halt. Right face. Present arms. Ready? 2. Retrieve. Colors. Left face. Forward march.
All right, you may be seated. Thank you, Mr. McCaffrey and the American Legion Post 233 Color Guard. As we wrap things up today, let me take a moment to offer some special gratitude to local folks who made this event possible. Special thanks to DJ Scotty. Good to see you, sir. I know it's been a tough couple months, but you're looking great, my friend. God bless you. And Just for Fun Radio for providing our sound and music, to Commander Williams and his staff. You see the staff all around us. For providing us with the venue, to all of our guest speakers today who helped make this event special. And special thanks to the Loganville Flower Basket for the wreath and the Tim Stewart family for providing the lunch following this event. I also want to offer special thanks to Stan Malden for spearheading what was our 11th Veterans Day ceremony, and to each of you for being in attendance as we did our part to help honor and pay respects to the contributions that our service members have made to this great country. Before I go, I want to take a moment to say what an honor. What an honor it has been to stand up here today and take part of this ceremony. As many of you know, this is my last, Skip, get ready, or where we got to do it, but I would figure it'll be Mayor-elect Skip. This is my last time taking part of this ceremony as a speaker. I'll still be amongst you. As Mayor of Loganville, as I choose not to seek re-election and instead have my sights set on becoming our community's next state representative, it has been my pleasure and my honor to represent this great city of Loganville as part of this ceremony, going back to when I was a council member. Even before I was mayor, we were still doing this as a council member. I'm not going far, as I plan on remaining an active part of this community that I do hold very dear to my heart. I feel that I have done my best during my time here, and while there's a few things left unfinished, I believe that the future is bright here in our great city of Loganville, and I will continue to do my part to support the needs of our great citizens. Now everyone is invited to stay and enjoy lunch. Lunch is ready. I see the ladies working back there. Sponsored by Tim Stewart family. And again, thank you for coming out today. God bless you. God bless this community. God bless this state. And God bless this great country we call USA. Thank you. Have a good night. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon.